Hey guys, how are you all doing? Welcome to my channel. So, today we are gonna see, what if Naruto got harem with Asagigawa, Sakuragawa, Kamimura Mika, part 2. Subscribe if you enjoyed the video. Let's start the story. Shut up. All of you. Leave me alone. Shouted the voice of Wanaruka Yamino from a television set, as 1am Ichiraku could be seen cleaning some dishes with a small chuckle. The clip had been replayed numerous times since the Chunin exploded on live TV, and the news media had practically crucified him. It was pretty safe to say that he was gonna lose his job over this, and good riddance too. Naruto had plentiful stories to share about his teacher, and none of them made him sound endearing in the slightest, and for good reason. Speaking of a certain blonde, she and her father couldn't help but feel glad that Naruto had been chosen as Tamanin's partner, and to be chosen by the legendary Asagigawa no less. No doubt he was in some fancy restaurant, gorging on some gourmet food with one of the most gorgeous and desired women in Konoha on his arm. Hey aim. Hey old man Tucci. Shouted a very familiar voice, as a trio of figures entered the ramen stand. Almost automatically the waitress put on her most charming smile, and greeted welcome to Ichi. She paused midway, as she registered who exactly had entered, and saw the form of Naruto himself accompanied not by one, but by two women. The famed Igawa's siblings. The waitress yelled in surprise, her eyes almost bugging out of her head at the sight. "Wa Naruto-kun, the Igawa's sisters in my shop. I could die happy." Tucci shouted, as he cried animal tears at the fact his humble ramen stand had been graced by the presence of such famed celebrities. "So you could have chosen anywhere you wanted, but chose this place, huh? I wasn't expecting this." Sakura spoke with an amused grin, as she set herself down on a stool with her sister, and the whiskered teen doing the same. "You won't find better ramen anywhere else. Besides, the Ichirakus have always been good to me. Even spotted a few bowls for me when I was short on money. I'll never forget about that." The whiskered teen replied with a nostalgic smile, earning a gushing from the Ichirakus managed to break out of their stupor with the ramen chef stating, "We heard about you getting picked on the news, Naruto-kun. Congratulations. You made the big time." The whiskered teen chuckled, as he nodded, and then said with a broad grin, "That's not all. I finally got my shinobi headband, and my license was registered." He then pointed towards the headband that was tied around his arm, and produced his license to the Ichirakus, the picture depicting the blonde standing with his arms crossed, and a serious expression on his face. "Truthfully, I kinda wanted to put on some kabuki-style makeup to really mark the occasion, and stand out," Naruto added, as he pocketed his license, his words earning an eye roll from his partner. "It would have stood out alright, in all the wrong ways. If you want people to take you seriously, as a shinobi, then you need to treat the position, and all that it entails seriously, as well. Remember, a person's reputation means a lot in the shinobi world. You want to have a reputation for being reliable and trustworthy, yes?" Asagi asked him, which made the young blonde nod his head in understanding. "I got it. I got it," he muttered sheepishly, with the Igawa's siblings giggling a little. "So what's good here? Any recommendations for Naruto-kun?" Sakura asked since she had never visited this place before. She was kind of eager to see just how good the ramen was here. You can't really go wrong with anything here. Though I think the miso ramen is good for first-time visitors. At any rate, old man. Hook me up with the Uzumaki Grand Special." The whiskered teen spoke excitedly with a large grin. "Wait. You have a ramen bowl named after you?" Asagi asked with a raised eyebrow, her question making the Ichirakus laugh a little in response. "Naruto-kun has been a regular of ours for years. To commemorate his patronage, we named a ramen bowl after him in his honor." Tucci explained with a hearty chuckle. "Oh? Sounds interesting. I want one too." Sakura spoke while clapping her hands excitedly. "I shall have one, as well," Asagi requested. Then she raised an eyebrow upon noticing the hesitation in the father-daughter pair. Aim cleared her throat, and asked, "Are you sure about that? It's a big bowl. Like really big." The sisters tilted their heads a little in confusion. A big bowl. Just how big could it possibly be? Ignoring the warning, they confirmed that they wanted the Uzumaki special, as well. Barely a few seconds after placing their order, the Uzumaki himself was snickering quietly to himself. "You might regret that," he warned with a sly smile, making the siblings' sweat drop. What could possibly be so daunting about a bowl of ramen? They received their answer minutes later when the Ichirakus planted 3 enormous bowls before them. The sight made the two sisters' eyes widen in shock. There seemed to be enough in just one bowl to feed at least 10 people. Goodness. Now I see why the grand part was added. Asagi muttered, suddenly feeling a little intimidated by the massive serving. Could Naruto seriously eat this whole thing? That didn't seem physically possible. Quite the specimen, eh? It's something of a challenge we started here. Anyone who can finish the whole bowl gets it for free. Tucci explained with a proud smirk, a little twinkle shining in his eye, as he then added, "Only 2 people have ever been able to accomplish this feat. One of them being Naruto-kun himself. Is the other one?" Jinchuriki asked since he was unaware that someone else was capable of performing this task. At his question, Aim giggled, and said sorry. "That's a secret, feel free to guess though." Naruto shrugged his shoulders as he began to dig into his bowl with gusto, while the Igawa sisters glanced down at their own bowls. Sakura slapped both of her cheeks before grabbing a pair of chopsticks for herself before shouting Yash. The Igawas don't back down before a challenge. Come on sis. Let's conquer this monster of a ramen bowl. Asabi smirked in amusement as she too grabbed her own pair of chopsticks and replied confidently, let's do it. She wasted no time in digging into her own meal, the older Igawa's sister doing the same. To the sister's surprise, the ramen tasted amazing. It had a spicy kick to it that was just balanced enough to where the spiciness didn't overpower the rest of the ingredients. Asagi especially liked the pork slices and the shrimp. The broth was also pretty good, having a nice thick and meaty taste to it. After several minutes of eating, the sisters finally felt like they had reached the halfway point, only to realize that they hadn't even gotten a quarter of the way through their bowls. Is there still more? Sakura whimpered, her previous confidence slowly draining away as she stared at the seemingly bottomless abyss that was her ramen bowl. We mustn't retreat. Keep at it. Asagi spoke encouragingly as she began eating again, Sakura doing the same. Their pace was far slower than before. Each time they finished a mouthful, their bodies screamed at them to stop. However, their pride refused to let them quit. Meanwhile, Uzumaki himself was nearly finished with his own meal. The Ichirakus were used to seeing him demolish bowl after bowl, and thus didn't seem surprised in the slightest. The Tamanin were putting on a brave front, but it was obvious they were steadily losing steam. I don't understand it. Why isn't he having trouble with this? Sakura whispered to her sister, a hint of bitterness present in her tone. Asagi looked like she wanted to say something, but then decided against it. Seriously though, just how was he able to keep going? Was his stomach connected to some sort of pocket dimension? Was he hiding a black hole in his belly? He just kept on eating, and didn't show any signs of stopping. Well, this is Naruto Uzumaki we're talking about. It's no surprise that he can handle it. You on the other hand, Teuchi chuckled, as he gave a quick glance towards the sisters, who were currently glaring daggers at the whiskered teen. You guys don't have to force yourselves, you know. Naruto spoke, finally pausing his eating, and looking up at the duo with a raised eyebrow. Nonsense. We've come too far to turn back now. I've cut down entire platoons of enemy shinobi. I refuse to be defeated by a ramen bowl. Asagi spoke with her chest puffed out proudly, a determined expression etched on her face. Right? I'm not giving up either. Even if it kills me. Sakura exclaimed with a fiery gaze. Naruto's sweat dropped, and gave a quiet aha, believing that this was not going to end well for the Igawa sisters. Minutes later, and the two women were slumped over on the countertop, their stomachs making gurgling noises, as they found themselves unable to continue on. How does he do it? It's just not natural. My tummy hurts. I feel like I'm gonna pop. The whimpered with tears streaming down her face. Don't mention popping. Please. I already feel sick. Asagi mumbled, as she tried to massage her sore stomach, the sensation reminding her of her earlier days, as a Tamanin during her intense training sessions, but this was way worse. Hey, don't feel bad. There are a lot of people who have tried, and failed to finish this bowl. Aim said while giving the two a sympathetic smile. Yeah, so you didn't do that bad. Not many make it to the halfway point, fewer still who make it so far on their first try. I gotta admit though, I didn't think you'd managed to last this long. So I'm impressed. Teuchi complimented, which made the Tamanin blush slightly in embarrassment. Defeated by a bowl of ramen. Oh the shame. The almighty Tamanin muttered dramatically, earning a laugh from her blonde partner. Hey, don't get too hung up about it. It's no big deal. I'm just a professional. Naruto started with a broad grin, and a cocky thumb gesture, his statement earning an eye roll, and a snort from his new partner. Professional glutton is more like it. Asagi quipped, causing the blonde to snicker. Oh please, like you were any better. Sakura spoke, causing her sister to blush in embarrassment. Well, you can't be the best at everything. I mean, I suck at maths, but that's just me. Everyone has a weak spot. No one's perfect. Naruto reasoned, which earned him a round of nods from the other occupants in the ramen shop. He's got a point. Aim conceded with a shrug, her words making the sisters nod in agreement. Well, at any rate, thank you very much for the meal. It was most delicious. The blue-haired Tamanin spoke, her body paling a bit, as she tried to resist the urge to vomit due to her stomach being filled to overcapacity. It was. I don't think I've ever eaten anything this tasty. We'll be sure to come back again sometime. Sakura added, her stomach also hurting due to overeating, as she shakily pulled out a wallet from an unknown hiding place, and slapped a large wad of bills on the counter before collapsing. That'll be more than enough. Thanks for your patronage. Teuchi spoke, his voice laced with gratitude, as he picked up the money, and pocketed it. Come on guys, let's go home in a few minutes. I don't think I can move right now. The tomboy Tamanin whined, as she felt, as if her tummy was about to split open. Why did that ramen have to taste so good? I feel the same. The almighty Tamanin muttered softly. The three of them sat there in silence for a minute or two, with the Ichirakus performing some cleaning. Sakura decided to break the silence by asking, Hey Naruto. How about you tell us a little about yourself? I want to get to know the guy my big sister picked. She smiled a little when she saw her sister blushing slightly. It would seem that Asagi had really taken a shine to him. There isn't much to say. I'm an orphan that lived in a crappy apartment and off of a stipend. I was picked on and bullied a lot in school with Iruka seriously having it out for me. It was because of him I kept getting held back since he kept singling me out. He surmised as he took a sip of tea. Seriously? A teacher picking on a student? What kind of a monster is he? Sakura muttered with a glare, her eyes narrowing in anger at the fact that the one who was supposed to guide and protect the children under his care had actually hurt one of them instead, or at least harmed their education. That one right there. The whiskered teen stated while jabbing a finger in the direction of the overhead television, which was still replaying the moment the Chunin exploded on live TV. Oh? She replied simply with her face blank before her eyes lit up in recognition. Oh. Wait a sec. I saw him in the Hokage's office when I got back to the village. I didn't hear everything, but it sounded like Sandane was chewing out this Iruka guy. Really? The young blonde asked curiously, his eyebrow arching up at this new bit of information. Yup. I didn't catch it all, but I definitely heard the words grudge and incompetence. If I don't know any better, I'd say that someone's gonna be getting the boot. Or worse. The snickered, a rather cruel gleam flashing in her sapphire orbs. Well, he deserved it. Anyways, I gotta ask, what kind of training are we gonna do in Asagi? I want to learn everything that you can teach me. The young Jinchuriki stated. He was determined to become stronger, not just for his sake, but for those he cares about. Additionally, he also wanted to be useful to Asagi as well. I believe it would be prudent to start off by practicing with the weapons you shall be receiving. I also recall you mentioning that you need some practice in Taijutsu. The blue-haired Taemanin spoke since she believed it would be wise to start him off with the basics. I see. Oh, I almost forgot. You also need to teach me how I can transfer my chakra to you. That's why you need me after all. He stated matter-of-factly since without his chakra, her combat capabilities would be somewhat limited. If she used too much of the yokai swimming in her body, there would be consequences. Huh? Big sis, you haven't told him? Sakura asked with a raised eyebrow, earning a confused look from the Uzumaki. Tell me what? He questioned, his eyebrows furrowing a bit, recalling that the last time he had asked, Asagi had been rather evasive about it. Can we please save this conversation until we get home? It isn't something that should be discussed openly. The almighty Taemanin implored, making the younger Taemanin sigh and nod her head. Okay. Fine. Sorry. Sakura muttered softly, as she slumped over a bit, causing the Jinchuriki to sweat drop. Just what the hell was she talking about? From the sounds of it, it was a sensitive topic, not to mention Asagi seemed a little embarrassed about it. Why? Was he missing something? I'll tell you everything once we're home. The blue-haired woman stated with a soft sigh, causing the young Uzumaki to give a nod of acknowledgement, accepting her promise. You two are feeling better now? He asked out of concern, noting that the sisters were no longer slouched over, and were instead sitting straight up. Yeah. My tummy feels a little less full. We should be able to head home now. The tomboy Taemanin declared, as she pushed herself up to her feet. Her older sister followed her example. Alright. Let's get going then. Naruto said with a small smile, his gaze lingering on the beautiful Taemanin, taking a moment to admire the way her blue hair gently swayed with each movement. He shook his head a bit to clear his thoughts before standing up as well, and followed the duo out of the shop. Have a safe trip home. Tucci spoke, as he and his daughter waved, as the trio began their walk back to the Igawa residence. It wasn't long before they reached the gates of the Taemanin district where a guard was stationed at the gate. This time it was a woman carrying a naginata with dark brown hair, an impossibly large bust, and a black ribbon that resembled rabbit ears. Naruto, this is Mizuki Shiranui. Nui-chan, this is Naruto, my partner. Asagi introduced with a gentle smile, causing the teen in question to blush a bit from the warm greeting. Partner. Oh, Asagi has finally found someone. Shiranui remarked, her eyes taking on a playful gleam, as she gave a knowing smile, and took in the Jinchuriki's features before adding my. He's quite a young one. A handsome boy, as well. She giggled, as the boy blushed even harder. Oh, stop it. You're embarrassing him. The blue-haired Taemanin chuckled, giving the woman a soft slap on the arm. It's a pleasure to meet you. The blonde spoke with a bow, not wanting to offend the Taemanin. The pleasure is all mine. Now then, passports. Shiranui requested, prompting both the Igawa sisters and Naruto to produce their passports for entry. After a quick inspection, the Naginata user nodded in acceptance. Everything appears to be in order. Have a pleasant day, she said with a friendly smile, opening the gate for them and allowing them entry. We will. Goodbye, Nui-chan. Sakura replied, the trio waving goodbye as they walked through the open gate. She seems nice. Naruto commented once the gates closed behind them. This reminded him, sooner or later he'd have to get to know his neighbors. From what he could see, a lot of Taemanin were really nice or at least decent sorts of people. Shiranui is a reliable one, and very strong. She also has a daughter, Yukikis. I think you like her. The almighty Tamanin spoke, as after removing their footwear, Sakura moved onto the couch and said, "Okay Asagi. You know the drill. There's no procrastinating now. You gotta have the talk with Naruto." They added the last part in a warning tone. The brunette said nothing to her younger sister, and instead gently took her young partner by the wrist and guided him to their bedroom. She shut the door and locked it behind her to ensure they had some privacy. Not that she expected her sister to eavesdrop, but more likely it was out of habit. "Okay, I've been dying to know. What the heck did she mean by the talk?" Naruto asked, his curiosity reaching an all-time high. Just what in the heck was going on? Why did Asagi seem like she desperately wanted to avoid the subject? Asagi sighed before speaking. "I've been wanting to wait until the time was right, but I suppose this is as good a time as any. I was hoping to hold off on this since I didn't want to force it down your throat," she muttered while brushing aside some of her hair, as the blonde teen deposited his bags of recently purchased casual wear off to the side. "Please tell me this isn't gonna be a birds and bees thing. I already went through that once, and that was the most embarrassing, cringeworthy, and painful 30 minutes of my life. Please don't make me go through that again. I'm begging you," he pleaded, his face flushing at the memory. "Don't worry. That's not what this is about. At least, it isn't really that sort of talk," the almighty Tamanin stated calmly, making him breathe a sigh of relief. "The truth is that in order to transfer your chakra to me, the most efficient method is through sex." She forced out the last part, her face flushing a deep crimson, as she seemed almost ashamed by this fact. "Wait, seriously?" he asked, his eyes widening at the news. "That was unexpected." "Unfortunately, yes," Asagi confirmed with a soft sigh, her cheeks still flushed. "As you know, we Tamanin cannot naturally produce chakra by ourselves. That is why we need a partner to transfer their chakra to us. The most efficient means is absorbing our partner's chakra through their semen," she explained, her face still burning bright red. "Oh wow. So you were afraid of how I would react if you told me about this?" he guessed, his brain still processing this new bit of information. "Yes," she answered honestly. "I understand that you're probably upset, or at the very least, uncomfortable. I wanted to ease you into it instead of, as I previously mentioned, forcing it on you. Then my sister had to go and tip you off. This isn't something we Tamanin speak of openly. Imagine if this became public knowledge. Every pervert for miles around would come banging on our doors to take advantage of us," the brunette explained with a shudder. "I can see your point. It's alright. I'm not angry or upset, I was just surprised. I can understand why you were hesitant to talk about it," he stated, his words earning him a relieved sigh from Asagi. It seemed he was taking this news in stride. "Thank you. I'm sorry. This must be a lot to take in." The blue-haired warrior spoke, her embarrassment fading somewhat, as her heart began to race a bit. The young Uzumaki's reaction was the polar opposite of what she had been expecting. She was sort of expecting him to lash out or be upset at this news. She was afraid that he may think he was being taken advantage of somehow. He was taking it rather well, all things considered. In Naruto's eyes, it all made a lot of sense now. Why Tamanin were so selective of their partners, why they were so protective of their privacy and territory, and why Asagi initially dodged his questioning when he first arrived. She didn't want to burden him with such a thing. She wanted to wait until the time was right for him, to explain in a way that would not overwhelm him, but now her hand had been forced. At the very least, it was now done and over with. "I would understand if you wish to sleep separately. I'll understand if this is too much for you." It's only natural that Asagi was cut off, as the blonde pulled her into a sudden hug, his warm embrace silencing her. "Asagi. It's okay. I already said that I'm not mad. I'm not going anywhere. You've been nothing but kind to me, and I'd like to return the favor. So don't worry, I'll be here for you, always," he said softly, as he felt her relax and return his embrace. "Thank you, Naruto. You have no idea how much this means to me," she replied, tears threatening to spill from her eyes. His acceptance and compassion was like a balm for her soul. To feel a warmth that she hadn't felt before, to have a person in her life that she could truly trust and depend on despite the fact they had only known each other for a short time. She had chosen very well indeed when she made Naruto her partner and gave the oath of marriage. They embraced for a few moments before they broke it off, and each took a step back. "So, is there anything else I should know? Wouldn't it be possible to transfer my chakra through, say, skin contact?" the whiskered teen asked curiously, his question earning a small chuckle from his partner. "Not right now, no. Though, we will have to begin your training as soon as your equipment arrives. I'll let you decide which weapon you would like to practice with first. I'm certain you'll do fine. As for your other question, it is possible, but not nearly as efficient as it is compared to the absorption of semen," she answered and smiled softly, her face returning to its normal shade as she sat down on the bed and patted the spot beside her, which she sat down in. "Alright, I won't let you down. I'll work and do my best," he declared, his tone holding a note of determination, eager to please his partner and make her proud of him. "That's the spirit. Well, you should get some rest. I'm certain that you must be tired. Tomorrow, I'll take you on a tour of the Tamanin district. I'll even introduce you to a few friends of mine. Asagi offered, her voice holding a note of excitement. Really? That sounds like fun. I'd love to meet more Tamanin. Besides, I guess I should get to know my new neighbors anyway. I'd hate to be a stranger in my own home. The young Jinchuriki mused. Excellent. Well, then, get some rest. We have a long day ahead of us. I think you'll like the community center. Asagi spoke with a broad smile, her words earning a small gasp of surprise from the whiskered teen. They had a freaking community center too, what didn't they have? Then again, he supposed it made sense for the Tamanin to have something like that to unwind in their downtime and bond with each other. There had to be plenty of Tamanin that had mutual interests and hobbies to bond over. I can't wait. The Uzumaki replied, as he slipped under the covers and made himself comfortable. Well, good night Naruto. Sleep tight. The almighty Tamanin cooed softly, giving his forehead a gentle peck and making him blush slightly as she snuggled up close to him. Good night Asagi. He replied, as he slowly drifted off to sleep, his breathing evening out as he allowed his mind and body to rest. Sweet dreams. The brunette murmured affectionately, her arms wrapping around him and pulling him close. She smiled gently as she rested her head on his shoulder. It wasn't long before her sapphire eyes fluttered shut and her consciousness faded with the Uzumaki following close behind her. The next morning, Naruto and the Igawa sisters made their way down the road to the Tamanin District's community center, the Uzumaki feeling quite eager to see what was in store for him there and to get to know other Tamanin. Who knows? Perhaps he could even make some new friends. Asagi and Sakura were both wearing a pair of tracksuits, dark blue and pink respectively. The blonde himself was wearing a simple t-shirt and cargo shorts along with his shinobi sandals. I can't wait to introduce you to everyone. Asagi mused with a serene smile, earning a small chuckle from the whiskered teen who responded in a cheeky manner. That eager to show me off? Maybe a little bit. She spoke with a good-natured laugh, the three of them soon arriving at their destination, a rather large building located in the center of the district. The structure was 3 stories tall with a glass window covering the front, and the sign above the entrance was a stylized emblem of the Tamanin symbol, with the kanji for community underneath it. Here we are. Asagi spoke. As they approached the establishment, she couldn't help but smile, while her sister giggled upon seeing Naruto's eyes light up. Wow. It's so huge. The Jinchuriki exclaimed, taking in the sight before him, his blue eyes gazing around at the many rooms that could be seen from outside, along with a sign that listed the many activities available. There were various activities available such as swimming, bowling, table tennis, and even a library. It was an impressive facility, no doubt about that. He wondered what else could be inside. They stepped inside the building proper, Naruto following the sisters, as they entered a room marked bowling. Inside were 6 lanes with 2 balls per lane, and a computer system to record points, a snack bar, and a small lounge area for watching the game. There was also a small bar stocked with non-alcoholic beverages, and on the other side of the building was a large arcade area loaded with all manner of games. Whoa, and this is only the first floor. Naruto mused aloud with the Igawa sisters nodding their heads. Well, if we're going to train hard, we may as well play hard too. There's lots to do here. We could bowl, play ping pong, or maybe even shoot some hoops. They suggested with a grin. Always wanted to try my hand at bowling. I never got to experience any of this kind of stuff. He spoke, earning a gasp of surprise from the younger of the Igawa's siblings. You've never gone bowling before? You poor thing. We need to fix this. Sakura cried, grabbing him by the arm and dragging him to the lane, her sister chuckling at the display. Growing up, Naruto had very few friends and fewer opportunities to engage in such activities such as bowling. As of now, he planned on making up for lost time and having fun with Igawa's sister. Anything I need to know about how to play? He asked since he wasn't familiar with the rules. It's pretty simple. Basically you throw a ball at some pins and then try to knock as many down as possible. If you get all 10 down, it's called a strike. Oh, and try to avoid accidentally rolling your ball into the gutter lanes. Asagi explained, earning a nod of understanding from the young Uzumaki. That sounded really straightforward. You go first, Naruto. Show us your stuff. The tomboy Tamanin spoke encouragingly, earning a nod from the blonde. Naruto grabbed a purple-colored bowling ball and moved to the end of the lane, drawing his arm back before he hurled the ball down the lane, striking the middle pin and causing a chain reaction of pins falling, his ball bouncing off the side wall and coming to a stop before the final pin, which then fell over with a clatter. Nicely done. The almighty Tamanin grinned broadly, impressed by the display. Ha. Beginner's luck. My turn. Sakura playfully stated as she picked up a bright red ball and rolled the ball straight down the middle of the lane. Naruto and Asagi watched as they threw the ball, the sphere colliding with the pins and knocking them all down with ease. Yeah. Strike. Not bad, huh? Sakura exclaimed with a proud smirk, earning a chuckle from her older sister and a grin from the whiskered teen. Nice shot, Sakura. The Uzumaki spoke with a thumbs up, his words earning a blush from those who scratched the back of her head sheepishly. They were interrupted by a voice that said R. It seems you're having fun. The trio turned, and were met by the form of Shiranui, who had a gentle smile on her face. She was accompanied by a girl that Naruto didn't recognize. She looked about his own age with tanned skin, long brown hair, and purple eyes. Nui-chan. Nice to see you. Oh, I see Yukika's is with you. Asagi greeted the woman warmly, turning her attention to the girl with the violet eyes, who had a soft smile on her face. Naruto-san, this is my daughter. Yukika's. Shiranui spoke, as she introduced her child to the whiskered teen. He blinked his eyes a few times, and looked between the mother and daughter pair. He honestly couldn't see the resemblance. You were just thinking how different we looked, especially our chest sizes, weren't you? Yukika spoke with some bitterness since she had something of a complex about her small chest. You're reading my mind? He asked incredulously, earning a chuckle from the young Tamanin, as he wondered if she had a special ability or a technique that enabled her to read the thoughts of others. No dummy. Just your face. It was written all over it. You should probably work on not wearing your emotions on your sleeve. The brunette replied bluntly. Right. I admit that I was thinking you two looked pretty different, but I wasn't really thinking about you, you know. He spoke a little shyly, but honestly. He hadn't really meant to be insulting, or he certainly didn't want to sound it. Sensing that he was being honest, Yukika smirked and spoke in a more casual manner. Sorry, I guess I am a bit sensitive. I didn't mean to lash out at you. It's nice to meet you, Naruto-san. Yeah, likewise. You can just call me Naruto if you want. No need to be formal. He replied. Okay, then, Naruto-kun. Yukika nodded her head with an easy smile on her face. Perhaps we should have a friendly competition. Naruto and Asagi versus me and Yukika's. Shiranui suggested, her words earning a smirk from Asagi. Very well, you're on. The blue-haired Tamanin accepted the challenge, as she turned her attention towards the young Uzumaki. So, are you up for it? She asked, earning a nod from the blonde. I'd love to. Let's have some fun. Naruto answered with a smile. Excellent. Asagi spoke, as she clenched her fist. Her sister smirked, as she reset the scoreboard, and then went off to get snacks and drinks for everyone. Naruto picked a ball, and moved to the lane, his attention focused entirely on the pins. Taking a deep breath, he exhaled slowly, and drew his arm back before he let loose a pitch, his ball gliding down the alley, and crashing into the pins, knocking all 10 of them down with a clatter. Wow, excellent work, Naruto-kun. Seems like you got skills. Yukika applauded the blonde's display, earning a smile from the Jinchuriki in question. Thanks, though to be honest this is my first time playing. He admitted while rubbing the back of his head. Still impressive. The brunette remarked, the group's attention then turning towards the older members of their group. So, Asagi, are you ready? Shiranui questioned her friend, earning a challenging smirk from the blue-haired Tamanin. Always. Show me what you got, Nui-chan. Asagi replied, as the two of them made their way to the lane, and picked up a ball each, the pair taking a few moments to ready themselves. Shiranui was the first to move, the purple-haired woman drawing her arm back, and pitching the sphere down the lane, the ore colliding with the pins, and sending several flying into the air, though the majority remained standing. Asagi took her turn, and pitched her ball down the lane, her ball gliding down the center, and crashing into the pins, knocking 9 down in the process. Not bad. Shiranui spoke, her words earning a chuckle from her friend. I'll say. Nice job, Nui. The almighty Tamanin commented. Oh, come on. It's not over yet. Yukika's piped up, her words earning a chuckle from the group. You're right, dear. Shiranui chuckled before turning her attention towards her daughter. The group all had a good laugh, their spirits high, and their moods light and relaxed. Sakura then returned, skillfully balancing a trio of trays loaded with snacks and drinks. She held one in each hand with the third being balanced atop her head. I brought snacks. I didn't know you liked Naruto-kun, so I brought some of everything. She spoke, as she placed the trays down on the table, revealing the variety of snacks and drinks that they had selected for them. Thanks, Sakura-chan. Naruto smiled at the younger Gawa, earning a nod of acknowledgement from those who had a warm smile on her face. The whiskered teen eyed the various snacks, large and soft-looking pretzels, mozzarella sticks with marinara sauce, chicken wings with a variety of sauces for dipping, French fries smothered in cheese, and bacon bits. The list went on. I think we've got everything. So, let's dig in. Sakura spoke, her words earning nods of agreement from the rest of the group. Each of them grabbed a drink and snack, enjoying a small break from their game. As they ate and drank, the group talked and laughed, a warm atmosphere enveloping them as they conversed. So, how are things going with your new partner, Naruto-kun? Any trouble adjusting to the lifestyle? Shiranui asked curiously, earning a smile from the Uzumaki. Nah, things are good. We're getting along well. Asagi has been kinda spoiling me a bit. Though the sudden change in lifestyle is a bit overwhelming, Asagi has been trying to help me ease into it. I look forward to training with her soon. He replied. Glad to hear it. Still, be careful out there. Things can go awfully wrong very quickly. Shiranui spoke in a warning tone that came off as unusually strong. There was a pained expression in her eyes, as well. Is something wrong with Shiranui-san? The whiskered teen asked curiously. Oh, it's nothing. Forgive me, Naruto-kun. Sometimes old memories come back and haunt me. She spoke with a small sigh. What kind of memories? He asked curiously. I would rather not speak of it. It's not a pleasant story. The brown-haired woman replied, a dark expression forming on her face, as the Uzumaki realized he had, rather idiotically, stepped on a landmine. Sorry. He spoke apologetically, feeling guilty for touching upon what were undoubtedly painful memories for Shiranui, and for spoiling the mood. Don't worry about it, Naruto-kun. It's not your fault. You didn't know. Shiranui spoke quickly, as she waved him off, a somewhat forced smile on her face. Deciding to quickly change the subject, Yukika's piped in, and asked a random question. So, Naruto, do you know how large your chakra reserves are? Instead of the whiskered blonde answering, Asagi beat him to the punch, as she responded. I attempted to use a chakra measurement device when I first met Naruto-kun. His reserves are so massive that it overloaded the device, and made it explode in my hand. This piece of information earned looks of shock from the various Tamenin, as they all stared open-mouthed and wide-eyed at Naruto. Whoa? Are you serious? Damn, that's impressive. Yukika's exclaimed. I don't doubt that. I'm willing to bet his reserves are far greater than those of even a cage-level ninja. Asagi spoke with a slight giggle. What? Good-looking, kind-hearted, and massive chakra reserves no fair. You really lucked out on this one, sis. I'm kinda jealous now. If you hadn't snatched him up, I definitely would have. The tomboy Tamenin whined with the tears in her eyes. Sakura-chan. It's not nice to say stuff like that. Naruto huffed, his face a bright shade of crimson, as the young Uzumaki averted his gaze. Well, I wasn't lying. I definitely would have tried to claim you. If my sister hadn't already taken you. Sakura spoke honestly. Thanks, Sakura-chan. He stuttered out, unsure of how to respond, earning a grin from the younger of the Igawa sisters. He glanced at Asagi, who seemed unbothered by her siblings' words, and instead seemed to be smiling, as she gave her partner a little reassuring wink. Come to think of it, I don't remember seeing you around at the academy whenever I went there looking for a partner. They mused, earning a sigh from the Jinchuriki. Probably because Iruka was trying to keep me out of sight and mind, fearing that I might get picked, and then finally get out from under his thumb. The prick. Naruto muttered bitterly. Ma, let's not hover over this subject. We still have a game to finish. Asagi spoke in order to get things back on track. Everyone nodded, with both Naruto and Asagi once again squaring off against the mother and daughter pair. Both sides wanted to claim the victory, as they grinned defiantly at one another, though before they could continue their game, they were interrupted by a female voice that greeted Yo. Naruto. Everyone looked in the direction of the voice, and saw the form of the orange-haired Tamenin, Mako, leaning against her bazooka with a cigar in her mouth, with a very annoyed expression on her face. Mako-san. Good to see you again. There's something you need. You look kinda pissed off. The Jinchuriki spoke a little fearfully, since this didn't look like a good omen. Some weird kid is at the gates demanding to see you, and Asagi. He's really damn annoying. Mako explained with a huff. Weird kid? What's this weird kid look like? Asagi asked with a raised eyebrow. Who in the world could be asking for them? Some really pushy and demanding brat with a funny haircut that looks like a duck's ass. Gate guard on duty asked me to find you too. I checked to see if you were home, and you weren't there. Luckily the neighbors pointed me in the right direction. The flame Tamenin explained while taking a drag from her cigar. From that description, there was no room for doubt. Sasuke Uchiha. Naruto muttered with an annoyed sigh. Seriously. Why did it have to be now of all times? He was having fun too. Still, it was definitely strange to say the least. Sasuke wanting to see him, and Asagi. Very odd. Aside from the countless times they were paired up in class spars, the Uzumaki knew that he never made so much as a blip on the Uchiha's radar, and Sasuke had never shown interest in a member of the opposite sex before, not even in Asagi Igawa herself. What has changed now? I'll handle this. Sakura. You mind taking my spot? The whiskered teen asked, earning a nod from those who had a cocky grin on her face. No problem. I'll be sure to defend your honor, Naruto-kun. Sakura exclaimed, as she picked up a green bowling ball, and moved over to the lane to take his place, though Asagi had a look of some concern. The almighty Tamenin pursed her lips for a moment, and asked Naruto, do you want me to go with you? Something feels off. She had a strong feeling that things weren't going to go smoothly, and she wanted to be at the blonde's side to prevent any unnecessary violence. Appreciate the thought, but I can handle this by myself. Though before I go, I gotta ask, do you think this might involve Itachi? That's the only viable reason I can think of that he'd be asking for you, given what you told me before. The whiskered teen asked, since there were only two things that could possibly pique Sasuke's interest, power, and Itachi. Maybe? I'm unsure. I never really interacted with Itachi's family, and I don't think he ever made mention of me, at least not directly to them. I think he was afraid that his father might have tried to push for some sort of political marriage between me and Itachi. Asagi answered, which made her young partner understand. Still, from her reaction, it wouldn't be impossible for Sasuke to know, especially if someone might have tipped him off. I'll take care of this, and be right back. He promised before marching off to deal with perhaps one of the most annoying and entitled people in the village. Honestly, he'd rather stay and continue bowling, but he figured that ignoring the problem wouldn't make it go away. Might as well bite the bullet and get it over and done with now than have to suffer an even worse headache later. It wasn't very long before he reached the Taemanin district's gates, where a woman with blue hair done up in a ponytail and red eyes wielding a large battle axe could be seen staring down the Uchiha himself, the both of them looking extremely annoyed with one another. "Do you have any idea who I am? I'm Sasuke Uchiha. I demand that you let me in now." The self-proclaimed elite shouted with a snarl, causing the axe-wielding woman to roll her eyes and give a dismissive wave of her hand. "I wouldn't care if you were the Hokage, the daimyo, the Rikido Sennin, or even their damned ass swiper. No passport, no invitation, no entry." She bellowed out the last part with enough force to knock the Uchiha off his feet, her eyes glaring dangerously, as she seemed to be almost pleading for him to try something foolish, so that she may have some sort of excuse to cleave him in 2 or more pieces. "Afternoon. I see we have a problem here." Naruto spoke with a lazy drawl, very much wishing that he was almost anywhere else that Sasuke was not. The gate guard turned towards the whiskered teen and spoke to him in greeting. "Hello. I am Yatsumi Urasaki. I take it this is a friend of yours?" She asked the last part with a somewhat judging tone to it, prompting the blonde to shake his head. "He's no friend of mine. Just a nuisance I can't seem to shake off for some reason," Naruto explained, which earned a slow ah of understanding from the ponytailed Taemanin, who now gave him a pitying look. "Where's that Asabi woman? I asked both of you," Sasuke asked in a demanding tone as he crossed his arms. Kami, just hearing that entitled voice of his, made the Uzumaki want to puke. "She has more important things to deal with," was all Naruto said on the matter, as he glared at the Uchiha. After a few tense moments of silence, the Avenger scoffed and said, "Whatever. You're the only one I really need anyway. Let's talk." The Jinchuriki raised an eyebrow, wondering what the Uchiha wanted to talk about. He was definitely up to something, no question. He then decided that it would be best to invite him inside. Not only did the Uzumaki feel safer in the Taemanin district, he was certain that if the Uchiha had tried anything in here, then the other Taemanin would step in to maintain order. He recalled seeing a small park nearby where they could talk. It was private enough where they could speak openly, but also public enough that would make him feel safe. "Come on then. Let's talk then. Inside." "Sorry for the trouble, Murasaki-san." The Uzumaki spoke, directing the last part to the gate guard, who simply nodded and allowed the Uchiha to pass upon Naruto's invitation, but her eyes never left the Uchiha as the two boys made their way towards the nearby park. They both sat on a bench together, a small hint of nostalgia coming across Uchiha's face as he muttered, "My mother sometimes took me to this park." Naruto raised an eyebrow at that, almost forgetting that the Taemanin district previously belonged to the Uchiha clan. Did Sasuke have a softer side to him after all? To think it's in the hands of people who aren't Uchihas. Disgusting. Sasuke added, as he spat on the ground. "Ah. There was that Uchiha arrogance. What do you want, Sasuke? Tell me what it is that you want, and then get the hell out," Naruto demanded impatiently. The sooner this was over with the better. "Fine then. I want you to break it off with that Asabi woman," the raven-haired youth stated bluntly, which earned a shocked and confused expression from the Jinchuriki, who could only give a confused sound. Sasuke then continued to say, "A worthless loser like you isn't worthy of her. I however can make good use of her." Naruto narrowed his eyes as he spoke angrily. "Make good use? She's a person, not a tool. Why do you care anyway? You have never shown an interest in any girls or women before. What the hell changed? She worked with my brother. She knows him, his power, his technique. With her at my side, I'll have an advantage against him," the Uchiha explained, making the Jinchuriki grimace. "So that's how it was. Figures. It all loops back to Itachi." Of course Sasuke wasn't interested in Asagi, as a woman or, as a person. She was just a tool for him to take advantage of, and then probably discard when he had no more use for her. "Of course I don't expect you to do this for free. You'll be compensated. I can pay you, or is that what you want?" the Uchiha added with a raised eyebrow, hoping to tempt the Uzumaki away from his partner. "No?" was all Naruto stated, as he almost leapt off the bench, his hands stuffed inside of his pockets, as his body trembled with rage. "No, what do you mean no?" Sasuke angrily demanded, as he got within the Jinchuriki's personal space, their faces now mere inches apart. "Do I really need to explain?" The answer is no. 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 I'm not leaving Asagi. Not for money, and not for ninjutsu. If you want intel on Itachi, you could try simply asking her nicely, like a normal and or decent person. But no, that is too much for you, is it? You gotta be some asshole that takes things from other people, just to make yourself feel better. Well, guess what? I'm not a fucking sellout, Sasuke," Naruto shouted, as he shoved the Uchiha back to get him out of his face. Sasuke raised his fist back, as if ready to punch the Uzumaki, and only just barely held himself back from throwing said punch, as he yelled out, "What can she give you that I can't? What is it that you want, dope?" At this line of questioning, the anger almost instantly evaporated from Naruto's face, as he gave a broad and knowing grin. The answer to both questions is pretty simple. I'll give you a hint. It's something that you once had that I never did. Naruto replied cryptically, wondering if the Uchiha elite can guess what it was. The hell does that mean? What is it? Whatever it is, I'm sure I can get it. Sasuke spoke, but was surprised when the blonde simply shrugged. If you don't know what it is, then I know for a fact you never appreciated it to begin with. We're done here. The whiskered teen stated, as he turned on his heel, and added, you can see yourself out now. Don't ever come back here again. Once those words had left his mouth, the Uchiha roared in anger after being so casually dismissed and denied, and shoved the blonde to the ground. Naruto growled in anger. This was the last straw. He grabbed a fistful of dirt in his hand, and said 2 things you're forgetting, Sasuke. 1. Don't start fights you can't or won't finish. 2nd, this isn't an academy sparring ring with teachers supervising us, and teaching fair play. He slowly rose to his feet, and turned towards the Uchiha who had adopted his clan's taijutsu stance. What are you talking about, Dobe? You've never once been able to beat me. Sasuke pointed out with a cocky and self-assured smile. True. But that was at the academy with that damn Daruka breathing down my neck. Remember that thing he always forced us to do? That seal of reconciliation. It was meant to symbolize that the 2 opponents are still comrades even after sparring. Only one problem. You are no comrade. Naruto shouted, as he threw a fistful of dirt into Sasuke's face, the cloud of dust stinging the Uchiha's eyes, as he clasped his hands over them. Naruto then grabbed the Uchiha by the high collar of his shirt, and slammed his forehead directly into the bridge of Sasuke's nose, creating a satisfying crunching noise. He then swung his knee directly into the family jewels of the Academy's golden boy, which caused the self-proclaimed Avenger to double over, giving the blonde a chance to throw him face first into the bench they had sat on, causing the raven-haired boy to slam hard against the metal armrest. While it was true that Naruto couldn't win in a straight-up fight against the Uchiha, given the elite's proficiency in his clan's taijutsu and various fire techniques, the Uzumaki could still land a few shots on him if allowed to fight dirty. That was something that Iruka never did teach. That fair play is irrelevant in a life-or-death fight. You bastard. I'll kill you. I'll fucking kill you for this. Sasuke almost screeched, as he used one hand to try and stem the bleeding from his nostrils, and used the other to attempt to rub the dirt from his eyes. Yeah? Try it, Sasuke. I promise you that it won't be like our academy days. I also promise that if you ever become between me and Asagi again, I'll take a red-hot poker and burn your eyes out of their sockets. Wouldn't be such a big shot without them, eh? And if that doesn't get you to leave me and Asagi alone, then I'll kill you. I swear it. Naruto promised in a cold and detached voice, an eerie gust of wind blowing past the 2. Whoa. That was quite a display. Spoke a female voice, which prompted the blonde to turn, and was met by the form of a woman with long waist-length light brown hair done in a cut, who was wearing a bright pink skin-tight bodysuit. Who are you? The whiskered teen asked while ignoring the Uchiha screaming behind him. The brown-haired girl made a grand gesture, as she answered, Kakawa Asuka, at your service. Asagi asked me to check in, and keep an eye on you. Though it looks like you have it handled. The Jinchuriki quickly recognized her name, as he parroted Kakawa Asuka. The Steel Reaper. At the mention of her famous epithet, the brown-haired girl quickly nodded with a beaming smile. According to what he had heard, Asuka was a famous Tamenin with some regarding her as something of an idol. She was unofficially adopted as Asagi's daughter and apprentice. Asuka lost all 4 of her limbs in battle, but that didn't deter her, as her limbs were replaced with special prosthetics that held blades hidden within them. The one and only. I think you had better get back to your bowling game. Asagi's getting really worried about you. I'll take care of the trash for you, as a special favor. Asuka spoke with a bubbly expression, and gave the blonde a wink. Naruto couldn't tell if she was just being friendly or if she was flirting with him, but she still seemed like a good person either way. Appreciated. I'll make it up to you later, Asuka-san. He promised with an appreciative grin, and then began to walk away. You think this is over? Not by a long shot. Just wait. I know people. Sasuke shouted, which earned a raised eyebrow from the Uzumaki, which reminded him of something. One of those people's name happens to be Homura Mitakato. Naruto asked, wondering if this incident was connected with what happened with Sakura when she initially greeted him with hostility. The Uchiha didn't answer, as he simply spat at the blonde's feet. Whatever. I'll find out sooner or later. The blonde promised with a small snarl, as he gestured towards Asuka. She nodded, and kicked the Uchiha across the jaw, knocking him unconscious, as she dragged him away towards the Tamenin district's gates to toss him out. As the Jinchuriki made his way back to the community center, he couldn't help but wonder why people just couldn't leave him be, and let him be happy. It was almost as if someone or several someones were trying to control every aspect of his life. Or was it just his imagination? Was he just being self-centered and selfish? He wasn't sure exactly, but one thing he did know was that he enjoyed being with Asagi. She made him happy, and anyone who tried to force them apart would pay very dearly. Within the Tamenin's community center, the Igawa sisters were currently neck and neck with the mother-daughter pair of Shiranui and Yukikis. The elder Gawa's sister was having difficulty concentrating on the bowling match, as she felt deeply concerned for her partner. While she knew that Asuka would be able to handle the situation, she couldn't help but feel a sense of dread. Kami, she should have gone herself for crying out loud. At least then she could have seen with her own eyes whether or not Naruto was okay. Her musing was broken, as she heard a familiar voice say, "Yo. Do I miss anything?" Asagi turned, and felt relief to see Naruto once again. She then noticed that it appeared he had been in a scuffle, though didn't look seriously hurt. "Naruto? What happened?" The almighty Tamanin asked, as she stepped forward, and began dusting off his clothes with her sister, and the mother-daughter pair giving concerned looks. "Sasuke happened. He tried to buy me off so that I would leave you. I said no, so he pushed me. I guess he thought I'd roll over like a whipped dog or something, as most everyone else does for him. Then I gave him a few good shots before Asuka-san showed up. Thanks for sending her along, by the way," Uzumaki explained, as he sat down to take a sip of soda to quench his thirst. Asagi accepted his thanks, then questioned if Sasuke wanted you to leave me. "Why? I don't think I've ever seen him show any signs of interest in a female before." To her question, the whiskered teen answered, "He only wanted to pair up with you because of Itachi. I think that maybe someone had tipped him off about your history with him or something. I asked him if that Hamura guy had told him, but he didn't say anything. That old fart again. Still causing trouble after he used that fake summons to bring me back." Sakura grumbled, as she crossed her arms beneath her bust. "What did you say? What fake summons?" Naruto asked, since he didn't remember mentioning that part. "Oh? Didn't I tell you? That Hamura creep summoned me back to Konoha by forging a summons with the Hokage seal on it." The tomboy Tamanin explained matter-of-factly, earning a raised eyebrow from her elder sister. "Hamura forged a summons? With the Hokage seal?" Asagi asked for the sake of confirmation to ensure her ears weren't deceiving her. "Yeah. Didn't I mention that?" Sakura asked while scratching her cheek with a lone finger, while silently asking herself if she had neglected to mention that part. "I think you might have accidentally left out that detail," the Jinchuriki stated bluntly. This piece of information earned a deep scowl from the almighty Tamanin. Forging such a document, with the Hokage's seal no less, is tantamount to treason. "Sakura, did the Sandaime not do anything to punish Hamura for his conduct?" the elder sister asked, prompting the younger sister to shake her head negatively. "Wait. Back up. Can somebody fill us in? I'm confused here." Yukika's requested, with her mother giving a look of both curiosity and confusion. Asagi quickly explained the situation, detailing Sakura mistaking Naruto for a gold digger due to Hamura's interference. Now it seems Sasuke was also trying to separate the almighty Tamanin from her chosen partner. That scumbag. How dare he? This is a Tamanin business. He doesn't have any right to mess with such things. The young lightning Tamanin growled while pulling out a pair of pistols, as she added, "I'm going to find this Hamura guy, and then I'm gonna blast him into so many pieces, not even the buzzards and the rats will find them all." "Whoa. Cool. Do you use guns?" Naruto questioned, since he had planned to learn how to use firearms. At his question, Yukika's proudly puffed out her chest, and playfully twirled her pistols around her fingers with practiced ease. "Ha. Not just any guns. These are special. Custom built just for me. I use these to channel my ability to manipulate electricity, often in the form of energy bullets. Very nasty." She explained with a flourish, as the whiskered teen clapped his hands, clearly impressed by the display. "Hamura, I bet you, and your old teammate Kaharu are behind all this. I'll need to have words with the Sandaime. This cannot stand." Asagi quietly thought to herself. She would be handling this one personally. She refused to allow these people to continue harassing her and Naruto like this. "Naruto, I am going to have a word with the Sandaime about all of this, and get everything straightened out. You have fun. I'll be back later. Sakura will take care of you." Asagi spoke, earning a nod of understanding from the whiskered teen. "I got it. Thanks. Do you need anything from me?" he asked, earning a shake of the head from the brunette. "No. Thank you though. Just enjoy yourself. You deserve to have some fun." She spoke in a reassuring tone before planting a quick peck on his cheek, before departing, all the while trying to hide her killing intent. Sakura quickly sidled up to the Uzumaki, and pulled him into a one-armed hug, which caused his head to press up against one of her large upai. "Looks like it's you, and me Naruto Kanasagi told you. Your new big sis Sakura-sama is gonna take good care of you. Your wish is now my command." She started with a broad grin and a giggle. "Don't forget, we still have a game to finish. One last set to be exact." It was Asagi's turn, so that means you'll be bowling in her stead, Naruto-kun. Shiranui started with a small smile. The blonde teen checked the scoreboard, and it seemed like he would need at least a spare to win the game. "No worries. I can handle this," the whiskered teen declared with a grin, as he cracked his knuckles, eager to forget about that nasty encounter with the Uchiha, and instead focus on having a good time. He picked up an orange bowling ball, and rolled it down the center of the lane. The ball met its mark, and knocked down most of the pins with the exclusion of 2. Crap. The dreaded 7 and 10 split. Sakura whined, as 2 pins sat opposite of one another. "Yesh. That's virtually impossible to beat unless you're lucky or skilled enough to make one pin knock the other over. Yukika's pointed out with an impish smirk, feeling confident that she and her mother had this in the bag. Naruto was a bit discouraged at this, and felt that he'd let the Igawa sisters down. His gloom was quickly dispelled when Sakura came up behind him and gently rested her hands on his shoulders. Naruto-kun, it's okay. It happens to everyone. Even Asagi has been known to leave a 7 and 10 split behind. I'm sure you'll do fine. Now pick up the ball and give it a go. They encouraged me. With a nod, the whiskered teen grabbed the ball and prepared to roll it. He took a deep breath and let the ball loose, aiming for the pin on the right. The ball rolled quickly down the lane, slowly veering a little off to the side. For a moment, everyone thought that the ball would miss the pin entirely, but instead struck it on the side, knocking it over into the other pin. Woohoo! Way to go, Naruto-kun. Sakura cheered as she lifted the whiskered teen up and gave him a tight bear hug. The Uzumaki blushed brightly and couldn't help but be a bit embarrassed by the affection, but also couldn't deny that he was enjoying the attention. I can't believe he managed to pull it off. Nice job, Naruto-kun. Looks like you guys won. Shiranui conceded with a grin and a thumbs up. The Uzumaki couldn't help but chuckle as he replied Thanks, Shiranui-san. I had fun. What should we do next? Anything you want to try, Naruto? The tan-skinned Tamanin asked with her mother giving a gentle smile to the young blonde. I'm not sure. Any recommendations? He asked, directing the question to Sakura, wondering what she might pick. The tomboy Tamanin thought for a moment and then suggested how about some ice skating. At that, the Uzumaki raised an eyebrow. Snow was exceptionally rare in Konoha since the weather was pleasant almost all year round. However, he was still quite curious about it and wanted to give it a try. I'm game if you are. He spoke excitedly, earning a small squeal of delight from the as she guided him towards another area that held an ice skating area. The place was a little chilly, but not unbearably so. After securing some skates and slipping them on, they entered the ring only for Naruto to discover that skating isn't as easy as it is depicted in the movies. Crap. 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 He muttered to himself as he struggled to find his balance. Sakura giggled at his predicament and placed a hand on his shoulder. Here. Let me help you. She offered, and the Jinchuriki nodded, accepting the assistance. She then gently gripped his hand and gave him a smile, helping him find his balance, as she carefully guided him towards the edge of the ring where the railing was located. It's best to start off along the wall to find your balance before trying to go towards the center. Just focus on trying to go forward for now. She had the eyes, earning a nod from the Uzumaki as he pushed himself forward. After a few moments, he was finally starting to find his rhythm and was even beginning to smile a little. See? You're doing great. Now come on and give me your hand. I'll help you. They spoke encouragingly as she stretched her arm out and grasped the blonde's hand. Naruto grinned and gripped the hand, allowing the older woman to carefully guide him across the rink. He had a small smile on his face, finding that this was actually a lot of fun. He chuckled with a merry expression on his face as he held Sakura's hand, a small blush on her face. His hand feels warm, and his smile makes me feel happy to see him smile. Is this how my big sister feels when she's with him? I wish I had that. The tomboy Tamanin thought quietly to herself, wondering when she would find her ideal partner. In the background, the Mizuki family watched from a short distance, the mother and daughter duo watching both Sakura and Naruto. They look so happy together. One would think that they were partners. I wonder what it's like. To have someone to love and cherish. To have a worthy partner. Yukika's mused to herself. She was still young, but even she desired a partner for herself. It can be the most wonderful feeling in the world, Yuki-chan. Shiranui started with a nostalgic smile on her face as she observed Sakura supporting Naruto and guiding him along the ice. It kind of reminded her of happier times. She quickly shook her head to shrug off any depressing thoughts and put on a joyful smile as she and her daughter skated across the ice as well. After all, Shiranui wanted to ensure that everyone had a good time and not drag them down with her own pain and inner turmoil. Meanwhile, Hokage office. Hiruzen leaned back in his seat, sighing tiredly to himself after having finally finished all of his paperwork for the day. Honestly, who would have guessed that signing scraps of paper could be so damned exhausting? He reached over towards where he kept his favorite pipe, but was interrupted when the door to his office burst open, almost making him jump out of his seat. He then saw the form of Asagi, dressed in her signature purple bodysuit, and armed for battle with her katana. Her eyes were cold and sharp as a razor as she strolled in, her heels clicking against the floor. Ah, Asagi Dono. Welcome. How are things with Naruto? How has he been adjusting to living with you? I trust he hasn't given you any trouble. He spoke in a friendly manner, trying to ease the tension in the air. I am not here to mince words or have a casual conversation. I am here to make things quite clear. Take responsibility and control your people. She spoke in a grave and demanding tone, earning a raised eyebrow from the Sandaime. I beg your pardon? He questioned, unsure exactly what she meant unless your teammate Himura forged a summons with the Hokage's seal. Yes. Is it not an act of treason? Why has he not been punished then? In fact, he told outright lies to my little sister, and tricked her into almost assaulting my partner Naruto, under the pretext that he was a gold digger or something of the like. Just recently, Sasuke Uchiha came, and demanded to see us. When Naruto went to find out what he wanted, Sasuke demanded Naruto to break up with me, and even tried to bribe him after discovering my history with Itachi. I suspect this might have also been some sort of ploy by one or both of your teammates, or maybe other involved parties. She explained, sharing the details of recent and past events. Do you have proof behind these accusations? I grant that Hamura did use the Hokage's seal, but the Sandaime spoke, but was silenced when Asagi tapped her finger against the top of his desk, making it almost shatter, and explode into a shower of splinters before the aged Hokage's eyes. But nothing. You are the Hokage. Your job is to protect the village, enforce its laws, and act as a guiding hand, a leader. Yet it seems you are content to let many things slide. It is no wonder many people are calling you things like soft or senile. She spoke in clear irritation, her presence now almost dominating the room, as the Sandaime felt, but a bare inch tall in her presence, as she seemed to tower over him. If you cannot or will not control your people, then I shall handle things my way. This is your only warning. If this harassment continues or if you will not take action, then I shall have no choice but to declare my own candidacy as Hokage. She announced, as she crossed her arms beneath her impressive bust. You? As a Hokage? You never wanted to become Hokage. Hiruzen blubbered in astonishment. Was she being serious? Not once had Asagi ever expressed any interest in taking the Hokage mantle. True. I was never interested in taking a title that has practically lost its meaning. However, it seems that my hand has been forced. If it is for Naruto-kun's sake, I can and will become Hokage, or do I need to give you a reminder of why I am called the Almighty Tamanin? She asked the last part, almost rhetorically. She didn't give the Sandaime a chance to answer, as she caused the yokai within her body to flare up. The result created a powerful shockwave that blasted the roof off of the Hokage tower, and caused all the windows to shatter, as cracks formed in the walls with some sections throughout the tower collapsing entirely from the pressure. Hiruzen was currently on the ground, sweating, his body felt as though it were being crushed, and found himself unable to breathe. Then, the pressure was gone, and he was able to breathe once again. There was no mistaking it, Asagi had just flexed a portion of her strength to make her point. It was often believed that her strength is so vast, that not even the entire village would be enough to hold her back, should she truly unleash her full power. It is no wonder that she is dubbed Almighty. Out of respect to you, I shall give you this one chance, and one warning. Clean up your act as soon as possible, and keep control over your people. Or else. She warned him once more before turning on her heel, and leaving Sandaime alone to absorb her words. However, despite her warnings, she believed that he wouldn't be able to follow through. Hiruzen was old and weak, and had lost his spine. Spent too many years pushing papers, glad-handing, and playing politics. Too set in his ways to adapt to the times, trying to continue old and antiquated ideals that had no place in the real world. Everyone knew that the old man was soft. One could see it in how he handles his students. Orochimaru. A rogue ninja who was still very much at large. Jiraiya. A perverted peeping Tom that is infamously known to spy on women and sexually harass them with no real consequences, and a worthless spy master. Tsunade. Wasting her talents by drinking and gambling and racking up more and more debt. If the Sandaime cannot handle his own students, how can one expect him to even handle a village? Hell, the only reason he did anything about Iruka was because it was a knee-jerk reaction due to the massive media coverage. The warning she had provided him was but a mere courtesy. It was now time to make preparations for a new Hokage. Asagi had always been content to serve as a soldier and guardian for the village, trying her best to distance herself from the politics. However, it seemed that it was time for a different approach. Now may be a good idea to call up some old friends and cash in some old debts. Meanwhile, with Naruto. Naruto yawned tiredly as he stretched his limbs, feeling kind of tuckered out after having so much fun with Sakura and Mizukus. It was really nice playing with you both. I hope we can do it again sometime. He spoke to the mother and daughter duo, who nodded their heads in agreement. Most definitely. You can count on it. Yukika's responded with a smile as her mother rested a hand on her shoulder. It was nice spending some time with you, Naruto-kun. Hopefully, we can spend more time with each other again. Shiranui spoke warmly as Sakura wrapped an arm around Jinchuriki's shoulder. The motherly Tamanin felt that it was a good thing for her daughter to connect with someone closer to her age and make a new friend, especially since Naruto seemed to be a good kid. Come on, Naruto-kun. We'd better get home. Besides, we can always come back some other time and hang out. Don't want you to get tired out too much. We wouldn't want to have you collapse from exhaustion. The playfully teased, causing the whiskered teen to chuckle a bit. Right? He replied curtly, and then bid goodbye to both Yukika's and Shiranui, as he and Sakura made their way back home to the Igawa residence. Along the way, Naruto looked up at the night sky, and found himself thinking about Asagi, and wondered what she might be up to. She said she was going to have a word with the Sandaime, but she wasn't back yet. Ah well, she would come home when she was ready and able to do so. Whatever she was doing, he was certain that it must be of great importance. He was probably getting worried over nothing. Sakura took notice of his distraction and couldn't help but wonder what the Jinchuriki was thinking about. Most likely it involved her elder sister. She knew that Naruto and her sister had a close bond. In fact, she had witnessed some of their intimacy together, and it made her envious. To have someone that special in her life, and to be able to be loved by such an amazing person. Even so, she didn't want to get in their way. They seemed to click very well together. Still, she couldn't bear the thought of him being sad or upset, so she decided to help cheer him up and distract him. Hey, Naruto-kun. When we get home, how about we do something a bit more lax? We could watch a movie together or play video games. Do you like video games? She questioned in a bubbly tone. I never played any. Couldn't afford luxuries like that given how limited my stipend was. Though I certainly wouldn't mind trying. When I first entered your home, I noticed that there was a Taemin-themed game. He replied with a small smile. Oh yeah? That. I think you'll like it. I'd love to teach you how to play games. Asagi isn't very good at them. They spoke with a playful smile. You know, I'm really glad to have met you. You kinda like the big sister I never had. Naruto said suddenly, causing Sakura to freeze up, feeling her heart skip a beat. Why yeah. Same here. I'm glad to have met you too. She replied, trying to play off the moment. However, she couldn't help but wish that he could view her more as a big sister. Kami, what is wrong with me? I haven't known him that long, but I wanna know. I can't do that to my sister. She deserves to be happy. It'd be wrong of me to take her partner away, but it still stings. She thought quietly to herself, and then within a split second she put on a happy face for the blonde. When they arrived at their home, they discovered a variety of packages left behind at the front door, all of them marked with the Prison Battleship Store's logo. Ah, this must be my stuff. Naruto spoke excitedly, happy that his things had arrived rather quickly. He was kind of eager to try out his new suits and gear. Ooh, come on. Let's get it all inside. Double quick. The tomboy Taemin spoke, as she unlocked the door for them both, and the two quickly brought the various packages inside. Naruto attempted to lift some crates that were marked ammunition on them, but found himself unable to make them budge. Lem help. Sakura spoke, and then easily balanced 3 crates in each hand, and brought them inside. The display of strength made the Uzumaki feel slightly inadequate, but he shrugged it off, and reminded himself that he just needed to start training diligently, so that he could become strong too. Wow. So these are your combat suits, eh? She asked, as she held up an all-black suit after removing it from its bag. She then offered it to him, and spoke in an almost demanding voice. Try it on. Try it on. The whiskered teen chuckled, and agreed since he was eager to try it on himself, as he accepted the suit, and disappeared from view in order to change. A few moments later, the Jinchuriki emerged, now wearing his new suit, admiring how professional he looked in it. He was impressed at how there seemed to be no restriction of movement, as he admired the range of motion. It also felt much lighter than his usual orange jumpsuit, and more comfortable. Oh my gosh. You look so handsome. Sakura spoke with a blush, admiring his new clothes, which fit the young blonde very well. He blushed a little at the praise, as he replied thank you. I gotta say I really like this. It fits me perfectly. I'd say that Rieri and Naomi outdid themselves. The whiskered teen noted at the end, as he picked up another box, and opened it, revealing the katana that Asagi had bought for him. Jackpot. He whispered, as he picked the blade up, and carefully removed it from its sheath. He gave it a quick practice swing, and noted how light the blade felt. It was virtually weightless in his hand, as he made a slow sweeping motion. Oh, I can't wait to practice with this. He started with a smirk, as he sheathed the katana. Ha. You'll have a hard time finding a better teacher for the arts of Kenjutsu than my sister. She's a renowned swordswoman. Sakura stated matter-of-factly. I am definitely looking forward to training under her. He spoke, as he set aside the blade, and then added, but before we get into any serious training, I think I want to try my hand at some video games. Sakura gave a thumbs up, then advised him better put on your PJs, because you're gonna want to get comfy. At her suggestion, he quickly nodded, and collected his other suits before retreating to his, and Asagi's room where he changed into a set of orange fleece pajamas that had little foxes on them. Apparently Asagi found it cute, not that he was complaining. When he returned to the living room, he couldn't help but blush a bit when he found Sakura booting up the TV and game console. She was wearing a pair of tiny shorts and a dark brown tank top that left little to the imagination. It would seem Sakura didn't have much in the way of modesty. He tried not to stare, but it was quite difficult to do. She had a really nice ass, and the outline of her camel toe could be seen through her tight shorts, making his eyes dart around a bit. His pants felt a bit tighter now, and he was glad he was wearing a baggy set of pants or else she'd probably notice. He hoped his arousal wasn't too obvious. Crap. Stop staring at Naruto. You're with Asagi. He mentally scolded himself as he sat down on the couch, all the while trying his best to avoid staring at them. However, what he didn't know was that the younger Gawa's sibling had taken notice of the looks she was getting from him. Wait, was he checking me out? Shoot. I guess Sugai I must be dressed pretty provocatively. Crud. I'm not used to having a guy in the house. Just play it cool, Sakura-chan. You're just gonna play video games with him. Everything will be fine. Just don't make a big fuss. Still, I kinda like that he's looking at me like that. Stop. Nope. Don't go there. I'm not gonna two-time my sister like that. The tomboy Taemanin thought to herself as some pink coloring dusted her cheeks as she plopped herself down next to Naruto, all while trying to act casually as she sat next to him and handed him a controller. He accepted it and observed how he was holding her own as he tried to mimic her. Okay, now I'll teach you how to hold it and how to use the controls. She spoke softly as she gently reached over and moved his hands, showing him the correct way to hold the controller. Kami, her hands feel really soft. He thought to himself as she gently guided him on how to hold the controller. She smells nice too. And her hair is so shiny. What the hell am I thinking? She's Asagi's little sister. Snap out of it, Naruto. He scolded himself as he snapped himself out of his thoughts and listened to her instructions. Once Sakura was satisfied that he had the basics, she turned on the game. After a few moments of waiting and observing the opening credits, the title Taemin in action flashed across the screen as Sakura hit start and took him to a tutorial screen so that he may engage in a practice match or two to get his feet wet. Okay, so the goal is pretty straightforward. You pick a character and then duke it out in a match. Best 2 out of 3 wins. The trick is to familiarize yourself with your chosen character, their combos, and their special abilities. She explained, prompting the Uzumaki to nod in understanding. On the character selection screen, there were a number of various Taemanin to choose from, some of which he recognized. Heck, even the Igawa sisters were playable characters here. It didn't take him long to make his choice, as he selected Asagi herself since she was his partner, plus he kind of wanted to see how she fared inside of a game. Boo. You chose Big Sis. She's a great character for beginners. Sakura spoke with a sly smile as the practice match began. For the next several minutes, the Jinchuriki familiarized himself with the controls as he fought against a basic computer-controlled adversary that was using a certain treacherous Taemanin. They coached him the whole time, giving him tips and advice as he learned how to play the game. The first round ended with a win for Naruto's picked character, and the second round followed a similar result. He was a quick learner and was picking things up faster than expected. Once the practice match was finished, he felt a lot more confident in his ability to play. It was a good thing the controls were easy to learn and were quite intuitive. It also helped that there was a list of moves in the pause menu that enabled him to memorize the various combos. With that said and done, it was time for both Naruto and Sakura to engage in a few rounds themselves. The two shared competitive looks and grins with one another as they started their first match. All the while, Naruto was grateful to both the Igawa siblings for giving him the chance to enjoy things that he had missed out on. He was very much looking forward to more experiences with the two sisters. Elsewhere, at a certain bar, Asagi sighed to herself as she took a long drink of rum. She was seated at the bar, her body language and her aura gave off a don't approach vibe. She was not in a very good mood. Most fortunately, everyone in the bar was wise enough to keep their distance or avoid pestering her. Asagi had a lot on her mind. She was feeling a mixture of emotions ranging from anger, sadness, happiness, joy, and love. Her thoughts kept drifting to the blonde Jinchuriki and how he was doing. She knew he was safe and in good hands with Sakura, and she trusted her little sister, but she was feeling kind of lonely without her partner by her side. However, what really concerned her was the almost unnatural vendetta people seemed to have against him. She could understand the fear and resentment towards Jinchuriki. They were essentially weapons of mass destruction, and if they were to go out of control, then there was no telling what the damage could be. Though at the same time, mistreating them was a surefire way to invite disaster. Honestly, it was as if people actually wanted him to snap, so that they may have an excuse to be rid of him. Well, now look who's here. Nice to see you, Asagi. Spoke a familiar voice that the almighty Taemanin did not want to hear right now. Was it too much to ask to be able to enjoy a damn drink in peace? Go away, Kakashi. She spoke in a warning tone. Despite this, the copy ninja slid into the stool next to her anyway with a drink in his hand as he gave her his signature ice smile. Many would describe Asagi as being patient, mature, diligent, and tolerable. However, even she had her limitations to what she would and would not tolerate. Kakashi was perhaps one of the few people she couldn't stand due to how unprofessional he could be with his tardiness, not to mention his vices. What's the matter, Asagi-chan? You sound rather angry. He teased with a slight chuckle, causing the blue-haired ninja's eyebrow to twitch slightly. It should also be mentioned that he also hits on her on occasion, and she does not appreciate his advances. Especially now that she had a partner. I am angry because there are people that keep messing with my partner. That aside, I am not in an entertaining mood either. Least of all for a pervert that reads trashy smut in public. The brunette growled angrily, the clock quickly ticking down, as her patience ran thin. Your partner? Oh, right. Naruto. He's a bit young for you, don't you think? You never struck me as the type to go for younger guys. I know he's pretty cute and all, but he's hardly a man. Kakashi noted with a shrug. And I suppose you are. She countered. Well, I'm no boy. The copy ninja spoke in a half-joking and half-serious tone which only served to further irritate the almighty Tamanin, as she let out an angry snarl, as she tightened her grip around her glass which slowly cracked in her hand. Would you be saying such things if I was partnered with Sasuke Uchiha? She asked him, her voice filled with venom, knowing full well that Kakashi had some sort of obsession with repaying his fallen teammate from whom he received his Sharingan eye. Well, the silver-haired ninja stammered a bit, caught off guard by her sudden question, not knowing how to answer. You're no different than the rest, aren't you? I am getting really sick and tired of people glorifying that damned Uchiha like he is Kami's gift to the world while putting down poor Naruto. What did Naruto ever do to deserve this? What is wrong with all of you? It is his life. My life. Our lives. Can't you let us be happy together? Can't you just leave us alone? She screamed out in anger and frustration as she clenched her fist around her glass, causing it to shatter. Under normal circumstances, Asagi would keep her cool and maintain her composure. However, even she could lash out if provoked enough. Now she has reached her breaking point. Why are you all so obsessed with that little Sasuke brat anyway? What's so special about him? Do you think he's supposed to be some scion to recreate his clan? Am I to be some damn breeding mare to pop out his spawn? She questioned, as she looked about the room, as if she were demanding answers from the various people within the bar. Many of the patrons either looked like they wanted to say something, but chose otherwise for the sake of self-preservation, or were trying to ignore the scene entirely. She scoffed in disgust, and marched towards a particular patron that she recognized as belonging to a major news media outlet for Konoha, and asked him, "Do you have a recorder on you?" "Why, yes." "Why do you ask?" He replied nervously, feeling intimidated by the famous Tamanin. She only glared at him, and made a small handed-over gesture with her finger. Seeing the look in her eyes, the man quickly complied, not wanting to risk angering her further, and placed the recorder into her open palm. She clicked it on, and began to record her own voice. "This is Asagi Ogawa, going on the record. I am perfectly happy and content with Naruto Uzumaki as my partner. I will not be leaving him. I will not be accepting Sasuke Uchiha as my partner. I refuse to procreate with Sasuke in a vain effort to revive a dead clan. I am not some breeding mare. If you all have a problem with it, then come and find me. I will be at home, with my blade at the ready to cut down anyone, and I do mean anyone who tries to come between us. This is your only warning. Further harassment will be met with both severe consequences and extreme prejudice." With that, the recording ended, as she tossed the recorder back to its original owner, and then stomped her way out of the bar, leaving behind a stunned and silent crowd, and a shocked Kakashi who realized that he had basically fucked up. The brunette stormed her way through the streets, heading towards her home. Everything was a blur to her, as she almost saw nothing but red. This whole situation was starting to get out of hand. If the Sandaime didn't get his shit together within the next few days, then she would have to handle things her own way, which might involve putting certain annoyances to the sword. She marched up to the gates of the Tamanin district and pulled out her passport in an almost automated manner. The guard, Murasaki, let her through in a rather hurried fashion. Upon seeing the angry and distressed look upon the almighty Tamanin's face, the axe-wielding Tamanin looked like she wanted to ask Asagi if she was okay, but didn't get the chance, as the famed Tamanin rushed on home. Upon reaching her house, she threw open the door and stomped her way into her living room. It was only then that she had come down from her anger-induced high, and saw Naruto and Sakura both sitting on the couch playing a video game. Upon noticing the older Tamanin, both the blonde paused their game and turned their heads to greet her. Naruto gave her a cheerful grin and asked her, "Welcome home, Asagi. You were gone for a while. Everything go okay with the Hokage?" She grit her teeth for a moment before relaxing herself, willing herself to be calm, as she replied honestly, "Things could be better." "What happened?" he asked, noting the look on her face. Her expression and body language seemed to tell him that she was not in a good mood. "There are a lot of idiots in Konoha, Naruto. That's all I'll say for now. At any rate, you two go on back to your game. I think I need to lie down for a while." Asagi muttered, feeling more tired now that her anger was draining away. "Well, alright. If you're sure. Sakura is teaching me how to play. We've been at it for a few hours. And I'm having a lot of fun," Naruto explained with a grin, as the brunette gave him a nod and a small smile, feeling grateful to her younger sister for looking after him and keeping him entertained. It was good that Sakura was so quick to accept him. The Whisker teen then added, "If you ever want to talk, I'm willing to listen. Let you vent out your frustrations." "Thanks, Naruto. I'll take you up on that offer. Though for now, rain check," she answered, her smile growing a bit wider, as she appreciated his words of support before departing towards her bedroom. Both Naruto and Sakura watched her leave with the blonde, letting out a sigh of disappointment and worry. The younger Agawa's sibling patted him on the shoulder and gave him a reassuring smile, silently telling him not to worry and that everything would be okay. He returned the gesture with a smile of his own, finding her to be a very sweet girl. Once they were left alone again, Sakura picked up the game controller and said, "So want to continue playing? Or would you rather do something else? Let's go another round. Afterwards, I think I'll go to bed by myself." He spoke the last part, believing that it wouldn't be a good idea for Asagi to be all alone for long. Even if she didn't want to talk, it would be good to at least stay silently by her side, to let her know he was there for her. "Yeah, same," Sakura muttered, feeling a little jealous that the blonde would be joining Asagi's bed instead of her own. Kami, why was this kid growing on her so fast? Was it because of his kind and loving nature? Was it because she craved what her sister had? Was it something else? The combination of these things. She didn't know, but she couldn't help these feelings growing inside of her. Sakura was not like her sister, who was the more reserved one, who was the calm one, who was the responsible one. No. Sakura was the more hot-headed of the two. The one that tended to wear her heart on her sleeve, and when she saw something she liked, she went after it. Though in this instance, what she wanted was already claimed by her sister. They forced a smile to her face, as they engaged in a final round together. Their match seemed a blur to the tomboy Taemanin, as she found it hard to focus on the game. After the round was finished, they bid the blonde a good night, as she departed towards her room. Once inside, the young Kunoichi shut the door, and slid her back down against the wooden frame, as she looked around her bedroom. Her thoughts once again returned to the blonde Jinchuriki, as she thought to herself, he's not supposed to be that adorable. Why do I feel this way? Why did it have to be big sis, and not me? I want someone to love me too. Am I a bad sister? She thought to herself, feeling more and more guilty for wanting something that was her sister's. It felt wrong to want her sibling's partner for herself, and it wouldn't be fair to any of them to ask Naruto to choose between them. She sighed, as she flopped on her bed, and stared at the ceiling. Perhaps it would be best to sleep this off. Meh. It was just a stupid feeling. A childish crush. She'd feel better later, and get over it right. Later that night, Sakura tossed and turned in her bed, her body covered in a sheen of sweat, as she found herself unable to sleep. Her body grew hotter, as her thoughts lingered on the young Uzumaki. She bit her lip, as certain intrusive thoughts filled her mind. She sighed, as she tossed the covers off, and decided that she was unable to wait any longer. She needed to quench this thirst she had, to cool off this burning desire in her heart. She swallowed a lump in her throat, and crept towards her big sister's room, and peeked through the door, finding her big sister fast asleep, while the whiskered teen seemed a bit restless, as he seemed busy beneath the sheets. No surprise that he needed to relieve some tension since he was sleeping next to a damn hot babe like her sister, not to mention there was the fact he was still a teenager with raging hormones. He was supposed to be 15, right? She smirked, as she found herself with an opportunity to give him a little tip, to her way inside, and smoothly climbed into her sister's bed without making so much as a sound. The young blonde looked up at her, and mouthed, "What are you doing?" In response to his question, she put a finger to her lips to tell him to be quiet. Sakura reached down, and cupped his groin through the covers, feeling the large bulge beneath the sheets, as she softly cooed, "Don't worry, Naruto-kun. Asagi doesn't have to know. Just let your new big sis Sakura take care of you. I think you want my juicy tomboy tits, don't you?" She slowly peeled the covers back, her face reddening, as she found herself becoming hot and bothered, then stopped midway, a sudden sense of guilt overcoming her. What was she even doing? This was all kinds of wrong. "I'm sorry. This was a mistake. I shouldn't be doing this," she whispered apologetically. Then she saw it. Her sister was awake, staring at her, silently accusing her. Asagi's eyes burned with contempt, unable to decide whether to scream at her or beat her within an inch of her life. "I can't do this. I can't do this," Sakura whispered to herself, as she clenched her eyes shut and started to curl into a ball. "I can't do this," she screamed out loud, as she jolted forward. It took a few moments for it to register, but she then realized that she was not in Asagi's bedroom, but on her own. Her body was covered in sweat with the sheets, and her clothes sticking to her. It was just a nightmare. Thank Kami. I thought I legit did something I was gonna regret, she whispered to herself, as she tried to wipe some of the sweat from her forehead. She glanced towards the clock, and discovered that it was now morning time. There was a knock at her door, as she heard her sister call out, "Sakura. Is everything okay? We heard you scream." "It's nothing, Asagi. I just had a bad dream," they replied truthfully, though obviously left out what she had dreamed about. "Were you watching scary movies late at night again? I told you to stop doing that because they'll give you nightmares." "Don't tell me, was it the one with the masked cannibal chainsaw guy?" Asagi questioned through the door, voicing her obvious disapproval of late-night horror movies. "Something like that," the younger sister answered half-heartedly with a small grimace. "I see. Well, get dressed. Naruto is cooking breakfast for us." Asagi spoke, as her footsteps could be heard retreating away from the younger sibling's door. She nodded to herself, as she got up from her bed, and then looked at herself in the mirror, now feeling more ashamed of herself than ever. "What is wrong with you?" She asked her own reflection, as if searching for an answer, though she received none, as she sighed to herself. No matter what, she couldn't let either Naruto or Sagi know about this, but how long could she pretend to hide her feelings? She wasn't sure. Perhaps some breakfast could help cheer her up. Wait for breakfast. Naruto was cooking breakfast. He could cook. Well, now she was kind of looking forward to trying out his cooking. Elsewhere. Location unknown. Well, now this is interesting. Spoke to a woman with wine red hair, as she read the morning newspaper with the front page headline reading Almighty Tamanin, Asagi Ogawa, releases official statement. Confirmed partnership with Sasuke Uchiha is not happening. The woman smirked, as she leaned against the padded wall of her cell, feeling a certain sadistic satisfaction that an entire clan and bloodline was facing extinction. Never did like those Uchihas though, given their track record. I suppose the late Nidame's suspicions of them were justified, no? The woman asked, as she looked up towards a grizzled old man covered in bandages, a disapproving look on his face, as he glowered at the woman. Be silent. The bandaged man ordered in a gruff tone, feeling annoyed by the prisoner's insolence. Come on. You're no fun. So tell me, what's this about a young Tamanin and a Jinchuriki? She asked him with a little grin. It was no secret that the Kyuubi was the source of the yokai that created the Tamanin, but for a Tamanin to pair with the very Jinchuriki that contained the beast itself. Ooh, just what sort of chaos could that cause? Not your concern, woman. He spoke venomously, his lone visible eye glaring at her. Oh, come now, Danzo. Don't be such a spoiled sport. I'm curious though. Why did you come to see the little old me? Come to admire the view. See a little skin. Sorry honey, but I'm not into the golden oldies like you. I prefer something a little on the younger side. Unless you're here to finally silence me. You're not still made after that little fiasco in Kumo, are you? The crimson-haired woman spoke in a mocking and haughty manner, dripping with some overconfidence, as well. The old warhick replied coldly, do not tempt me, Boru. Eliminating you is still very much on the table, especially given that you sold certain secrets without my permission. Secrets? What secrets? I haven't sold any secrets, though I do have quite the collection of secrets to tell. Your little fronts at the orphanages that secretly funnel your recruits. Your past dealings with Hanzo and Orochimaru. You're blackmailing Itachi to be the triggerman to eliminate his own clan. Your illegal business practices. The maps to your underground tunnel networks. Oh, and that freaky Senju Uchiha fetish you have. Why would I sell what is currently keeping me alive? If I go, then your secrets get publicized. Aboru responded cheekily, since she had quite a bit of ammunition to use against the grizzled warhick. Secrets were her trade, her currency, and lifeblood. It was also why she was known as the treacherous Tamanin. Unfortunately for her, she had gotten in a little over her head, and was cast into this prison by Danzo himself. Now she was too dangerous to let live, but also too valuable to kill. Quite the conundrum for poor old Danzo, especially since he didn't like loose ends. Ask all the double agents he had quietly terminated and betrayed. Ugh. It was a shame that it wasn't the Sandaime that caught her. With Hiruzen she could easily bathe her pretty little eyelashes, make up an excuse, and then be sent on her way with a little slap on the wrist. Danzo. Different story. Perhaps we can have some form of a compromise. Tell me, what do you know about a man called Edwin Black? Danzo asked with a raised eyebrow, tossing a file at Aboru's feet. Oh? Digging into the story of a dead man, are we? I have some pretty juicy secrets about Edwin too. They can be yours for a price. Perhaps I can trade up for a nicer cage. Something less confining. She asked, gesturing to the cramped padded cell that she was currently occupying. It would be very nice to be able to stretch her legs a bit. Perhaps though if you try to run, I know of a few secrets of yours as well. The kind that could have every Anbu from every village after you, and a lot of angry clients who wouldn't wish to do further business with you. He spoke in a warning tone, earning an annoyed roll of the eyes from the treacherous Tamanin. That would be quite inconvenient. Very well then. What do you wish to know? She asked, as she flipped the file of Edwin Black open with a lone finger. Everything. Starting with his experiments. Danzo requested with his lone eye narrowing, which resulted in Aboru giving him a crooked grin, knowing that the many secrets she held could open a great many doors for her. That aside. She was bored, and she hated being bored. Who knows? It might be fun to shake things up a bit, and see how the chaotic fallout unfolds. The end. Thanks for watching my video. Leave a like if you enjoyed my video, and also do consider subscribing to my channel for more awesome content. See you next time. Till then, sayonara.